Think back to your very first kindergarten class. It's right before Thanksgiving. You're coloring your hand-traced turkey and your teacher's telling you the story of the first Thanksgiving. What stuck with you from that? For me, it was Tisquanto, better known as Squanto. He was the reason that the Pilgrims survived the first winter. He taught them to hunt, how to fish, how to plant crops, and he was the reason that they survived. Squanto always interested me, and earlier this semester I actually gave a research presentation on him about his life as a whole because he was just so fascinating to me. And from that research, I learned a lot of things about Squanto that I didn't know before, that they don't teach you in your kindergarten classes. So 3 unknown aspects of his life is his captivity in Europe, the decimation of his tribe, and his attempts to begin a war between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. According to World History Encyclopedia by Joshua J. Mark, he was captured by an English explorer, Thomas Hunt, in about 1614 with 20 to 30 other Native Americans, and he was taken to Europe. He was first traded to a Catholic priest in Spain, but from there he was sold into slavery in a bunch of different places in Europe. He eventually was able to escape and he made it to England, where he learned English and worked as a shipmaker. And that's where he began work as an interpreter. And he found passage from England to America working as an interpreter on a ship by the English explorer Thomas Dermer. And that's how he got back to his homeland. And that was about 5 years later or so. So we'll now talk about the decimation of his tribe that he found upon his arrival back in America. According to an article on Mayflower 400, Squanto returned to his homeland and found the Patuxet tribe, his home tribe, completely gone. While he was away, there was an epidemic of smallpox that completely wiped out his tribe and a bunch of other tribes around the Cape Cod area. Because the Native Americans didn't have the immune systems that were prepared to fight these English diseases, it completely wiped them out. And that's what happened to the Patuxet tribe. When Squanto made it back, he was actually captured again by the Wampanoag tribe, which is the famous tribe you'll know from the Thanksgiving feast. They captured him because of his involvement with Thomas Dermer, the English explorer. And Massasoit, the chief, didn't necessarily trust him, but he did see him as a very valuable thing to have because he was an interpreter. So now that we've seen the decimation of his tribe, we'll look at his attempts to begin a war between the Wampanoag Indians and the Pilgrims. According to an article written by Andrew Lippman in the Yale University Press, very shortly after the Thanksgiving feast, Squanto began plotting against the Wampanoag tribe. He began telling them that the English was going to attack them, and he even came up with stories such as they had the plague trapped under barrels that they could unleash on the Indians. Yeah, it was crazy. He began threatening people that tried to stop him, and he demanded gifts from the people that followed him. Many people assume he did this in order to take over the tribe from Massasoit. And Massasoit, whenever he heard about all of this, he went and talked to William Bradford, the leader of the Pilgrims, and found out that this was not true. And he started calling for Squanto's execution because he was a traitor. It's important to note here that Squanto was still very close to the Pilgrims, and because of this, the Pilgrims gave him shelter from the Wampanoag Indians during this time. So he stayed with the Pilgrims until tensions eventually eased, and he died a couple of months after that. Many people thought at the time that it was due to an illness, but historians nowadays believe that he was poisoned by Massasoit. Massasoit never forgave him for what he did. So through learning about his captivity in Europe, the decimation of his tribe, and his attempts to begin a war, I hope you've gained a better understanding of Squanto's life and the context behind the first Thanksgiving. It was not all kumbaya. So although he was far from perfect, we could all stand to learn from Squanto and his perseverance and resilience in the face of tragedy. Thank you.